Hi everyone, Raccoon Ron here, and yes, the Sonic Fortnite collab is real, along with a bunch of other SEGA IPs being added as well. I briefly mentioned it in my previous video covering the new 3 unannounced Sonic titles that just got confirmed, but there's some info from a really reliable source which has also been backed up by Ryan Dory that there is a huge series of Fortnite SEGA collabs planned and even already made, with Yakuza, Jet Set Radio, Persona, and Sonic being one of them. Ironically, the one holding the project up, or at least that's part of the reason it's still unreleased. However, do know that it is currently believed to not be cancelled and is still set for an eventual release. Now, I also got a lot of this new info from a personal source who reached out to me after my last video dropped, and I will keep anonymous since I want to be able to continue getting stuff like this, and what they write also backs up what Ryan Dory and these other 2 sources have written, so it all seems very legitimate. And the reality of seeing Sonic in Fortnite, and we'll get into how they're going to implement it, as that's been the biggest factor slowing this entire project down. But overall, this collab is like a dream come true to me. But what? Did you hear that? Oh no! Ninja is about to get skipped down at Tilted Towers, and the only way to save him is to drop a like right now and double check you're subscribed, or else Agent Jonesy is going to drop from the battle bus onto your rooftop to orange justice on you and your parents. So you better like and sub. You're going to get rickrolled at Tomato Town. Now, on the main story of Sonic and these other SEGA franchises crossing over with Fortnite, I'll first start with my own source before then getting into the scoops from the more well-known names in the community. And to get into it, my source writes, I used to have a friend that got a bunch of Fortnite leaks that the vast majority of turned out to hit the nail on the head, and the other ones were never directly confirmed or were only mostly accurate. And regarding SEGA X Epic Games, I was told this. Epic wanted to add Sonic, Persona, and Yakuza characters to Fortnite. I don't know about the others, but I would imagine they were included as well. But this is all I was told. Epic wanted Kiryu as the main Yakuza rep, but SEGA refused because Kiryu doesn't hit women or something. SEGA really wanted Sonic in, like how he appears as modern Sonic in the recent mainline games, but Epic didn't want to because Sonic's normal proportions wouldn't fit any hitboxes without stretching him out and it looking Epic proposed either using Sonic's boom design, lol, or Sonic Man from 06 in the Archie comics, but SEGA wouldn't budge. Epic started work on tying stuff for both Persona 5 and 3 Reload during Chapter 5 Season 1, the one with Family Guy and Metal Gear. Some things in the files of the game pointed towards Persona 3 Reload being imminent, but it looks like Epic is just kind of sitting on it for the time being, which there's a lot to break down, but this all makes sense and lines up with what these other sources have been saying as well, plus the fact that the Persona 3 Reload stuff was indeed previously found in the code from data miners, so that also aligns with this info. And the first announcement I can find of this collab started with a tweet from Fortnite leaker HypeX, which was also backed up by Ryan Dory directly, and he says the reason that it's been postponed is mostly due to the Super Game Initiative, to which he also says that SEGA sees Fortnite as a competitor to their Super Game plan, so unless the time comes where they have their releases out to receive the benefit of being advertised in one of the biggest games ever, they don't seem to be interested until these releases drop. And all this is also backed up by an insider through Wensoing, I think that's how you pronounce it, who it appears is very credible when it comes to these type of things. Now, one of the most interesting aspects of these collabs is that they're already made, and Epic has been doing everything they can to work with SEGA, but SEGA is not budging and making things really hard to work with, but also with Epic being a billion-dollar company, it does appear they do have the most grounds for negotiation, as they have worked with SEGA and Sonic before, but indirectly through their daughter company who makes Fall Guys, which Sonic was very successful there, albeit Fall Guys compared to Fortnite is not possibly controversial in any way possible, and the inherent nature of Fortnite being a shooter makes it an entirely different beast. I've seen a bunch of mock-ups of how Sonic could look moved into the Fortnite proportions, kind of like how they did for Peter Griffin and I mean literally every character that gets added in, which I think this looks pretty good all things considered. A lot of people are just like, oh, put Boom Sonic, but even Boom Sonic is like easier to move in the proportions but not quite there.
Want to go on a date?
No thanks. I'm not into guys with big heads.
And also, let's be real, the general gaming audience doesn't have the best impression of Sonic Boom. So these fan-made mock-ups I've seen, in my mind, appear to be the best way I can imagine this being implemented. However, the reaction to these, at least in the comments, seem mixed at best. I think either Sonic Man or Robotnik would be great fits, and it's interesting to hear that Epic were the ones that wanted Sonic Man, and as I can tell by them getting Rooster Teeth to do Red vs. Blue stuff for their Halo collab, that Epic puts a ton of love into getting each collab to feel just right and like actually pay homage to the source material. So a Sonic or SEGA one I know would go super in depth. Even with Avatar: The Last Airbender, they went all out for not just the skins but the update too, which Sonic has so much of a universe to reference and acknowledge in a Fortnite collab that feel like Sonic Unleashed. The possibilities are endless. There's also mock-ups by the same artist of how Shadow would look in this format, as well as an alternate style option for Sonic that's in the Yuakawa style, something that both look super neat and I think do a really good job of fitting the Fortnite art style and proportions while still maintaining the integrity of Sonic's design, and this is a perfect example of how it could be integrated. I also saw this separate fan mock-up for a concept of Sonic with tails on his shoulders, which another artist has gone and animated, and I think conceptually it works really well. Although, knowing how SEGA likely would view Tails with a gun, which while Disney and DC have been more lenient with Epic, by all accounts it appears SEGA isn't nearly as trusting with them. However, I think a regular proportioned Sonic with Shadow on his shoulders would probably work better for them, and would also be good promotion for Sonic X Shadow Generations, which Shadow is also a fan favorite character. So the combination of Sonic and Shadow in one skin and keeping their same proportions would definitely be a huge hit. For the Lego skin, they would probably just give you the already created Sonic and Shadow Lego models for both characters separately, and it just comes together in the bundle. And don't get me wrong, I would be totally down for Sonic and Tails too, but I just don't think SEGA would be willing to have a gleeful Tails running around with an AR gunning down his enemies. It also might make more sense for the compromised separate Sonic and Shadow skins with modified proportions, since there's never actually been a Fortnite skin of two characters stacked, and with arm length being shorter and the width of the body being wider and such, I'm not fully sure if it would work in the gameplay without being pay to lose. So ironically, while SEGA might be down for this compromise of having them stacked in their normal proportions, there might be a reversal and Epic actually goes, we can't make that work. And remember, this is just a concept. It likely will be implemented with the stretched proportions, something that could look really bad if done poorly. However, Epic tends to do a good job with these things, and if it's anything like these mock-ups, I'm totally happy with it. With the gameplay updates and such, one thing I could see them doing is having Robotnik's egg pod as the limited time power vehicle that, when you find, generally makes it a lot easier to win. A good example is the current Captain America shield, the Doom powers, the Iron Man stuff, you know, something like that, as well as the blue quill from the movie giving you energy and making you go way faster, and even a red quill from Knuckles that makes you stronger, of which, if they do add Robotnik, something that would make perfect sense. I think having like his ship egg pod from the first movie be his glider would be super cool. He's a fan favorite character, and if they do the movie version, just it being Jim Carrey in Fortnite alone would sell an unbelievable amount of skins. Also, to touch on one thing from my source, outside of what they said, I haven't heard anything about them not being able to get Yakuza in, which, if it's true they couldn't get it in for that reason, is pretty surprising considering it's easily the most adult of all these franchises, and it's odd to hear that it's one of the ones they're the most hesitant about over him hitting women, which honestly is a really unbased move of SEGA. Am I right, fellas? W's down in the comments. Surprisingly, in these wave of collabs, there's been no info on it, but I think Super Monkey Ball would go super hard, especially like in an ironic sense. Even just as a mascot outfit for Jonesy, honestly, I'd have to cop. From all the info I've seen, I definitely do think Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi will be a part of this collab, but at the same time, with SEGA seeing these two titles, mostly Jet Set Radio, as competitors to Fortnite, something that is still crazy in my mind to hear, all makes me curious if SEGA would be willing to to bend and add these around release window. Once they get a good look at the analytics and see that there's a massive boost of sales and users from being promoted to literally one of the largest player bases in all of gaming, as well as the fact that they get percentages and anything like this in the item shop is going to sell like crack to not even just us, but the entire Fortnite audience, who is absolutely petrified over the fear of missing out on the opportunity to get these items since almost all of them never return. Also, outside of just skins, I think I'm the most interested in the possibility of gameplay mechanics being added like they've done for so many updates. I'm not sure if like the Marvel one, it would be specific to Sega, or like how they did another Star Wars update. It's another gaming icon series update, and it's more based on 90s and 2000s stuff. I would love to see all of these drop at once and could see them like Avatar throwing it all out in a single major update, but to not fully engage the hype train, I could also see them being slowly trickle released like Dragon Ball. Well, actually, Dragon Ball got the Kamehameha and gameplay update as well, so I don't know. My mindset is there likely will be gameplay features implemented related to Sonic and all these other franchises, but it is also possible these won't release at the same time and will be in different updates, since while the Persona 3 reload thing was data mined, none of the other collabs were found in that way, so Sega might test the waters first with Persona to see how much of a cash cow Fortnite is. With like how there's the Marvel Pass and other battle passes themed to franchises, oh man, if they made a SEGA Pass, oh, that's a day one purchase. The FOMO I would have of missing anything in that pass would be so immense. I would have to grind out just to make sure I got to the max level. I might even actually cry like if I missed the really cool skin. Now, to get into more of the leaks and more of the info, not everyone is happy with the idea of Sonic being added to Fortnite. In fact, when going around on Twitter just casually, I saw two separate Persona fan accounts unironically mad at Sonic for being the one holding it back and hating the spotlight Sega has been putting on Sonic since the comeback from 2020's terrible release year. And with Sega putting that emphasis on Sonic, things like Persona you would imagine are taking the sidelines, but these different properties are made by entirely different teams, and it appears based on all the recent Atlas releases that Sega putting an emphasis on Sonic, especially to Western audiences, is not hurting Persona at all. If anything, it's helping it by expanding Persona to Sonic's also very large but entirely separate audience, slowly growing the Persona franchise to be consistently larger and larger than ever before. And to the info, the other source that was backed up by Ryan Dory writes a thread starting, Persona is one of many Sega X Fortnite collabs that are either indefinitely cancelled or on hold due to various discussions falling through due to disagreements about character proportions and what content to include. Persona X Fortnite was initially planned for Chapter 5 Season 2, Myths and Mortals, so it can be assumed this would have been a Persona 3 Reload specific collab as previously leaked by several sources. I was not planning on releasing this information due to the original source, but I have since looked into it more and talked privately to people who have info on both ends of things and have come to a conclusion on my own accord. This information is no longer entirely theirs, which they also wrote confirming Sonic Man was one of the things proposed by Epic, writing, Epic pitched a man in a Sonic costume, but Sega shot it down. Although granted, to be entirely fair, that doesn't necessarily mean Sonic Man, as it could just be an original design of a man in a Sonic costume. It's not necessarily saying Sonic Man. It could even be Jonesy. However, everyone's interpreting it that way, and that's also what my own source said, but I just want to keep the possibility open that this doesn't necessarily mean Sonic Man. It could just mean man dressed like Sonic. Now, on the other characters, they quote tweeted this thread with clarifications and updates claiming, quote, to follow up and elaborate more on the disagreement, Sega and Epic were disagreeing on how to implement Sonic. Sega wanted completely accurate proportions, and Epic told them bluntly that it was just not possible. This back and forth led to an indefinite hold on all collabs. These collaborations would have included Persona, Sonic the Hedgehog, Like a Dragon, Jet Set Radio, and Virtua Fighter. Sega was hesitant on any collaborations at all due to wanting to hone in on their Super Game initiative, but they've grown more open to collaborations as evident by the past 2 years. No word on if any of these Fortnite collaborations will see the light of day. Mystic/Midori is in fact one of the people I briefly talked to about this, and he also has seen some validity in what I'm saying, more on the Sega end of things at least. And like said, Ryan Dory has come out and confirmed this information lines up with with what he's heard from his own circles as well, especially considering quite literally every single drop Ryan Dory has recently posted has swiftly been DMCA'd by SEGA themselves, which that alone is almost full confirmation, not even considering these other factors. Now, the Persona community, unlike Sonic, almost unanimously wants this collab to happen, with even a fan edit of a Persona song being added, ratioing Atlas on their own engagement bait posts, and everyone is hyped about it, so there is clearly demand in at least their audience. And if the desire for a Sonic Fortnite collab were more vocal, and you guys went out and made your voices heard more, I think there's a really good chances this could get released and finished, since we do know it's already been created, but whether it's finished or not is currently unknown. For Sonic to have Robotnik, Sonic, Shadow, Sonic Man, and another one, which you guys can comment what you think would make a good Sonic Fortnite collab skin, and I'll go through them. One obscure one that I would love is Officer Topaz from Sonic X, and with the Fortnite anime cell shading style they've done for Rick and Morty and a bunch of the other collabs, ooh, that'd be fire. There's probably some really good possibilities that I'm missing, and you all in the comments will be yelling in my ear about, "Ugh, you idiot, how could you not think of GUN Jonesy, Jaden, you fool!" Other Sega ones like Beat, Tab, Gum, and Combo from Jet Set Radio would be huge hits, and a traversal emote where you slowly skate around like many of the other ones would go so insanely hard and would really sell the Jet Set Radio feel to have these characters just able to slowly skate around on the battlefield. With that, remember to like and sub to the #1 source of Sonic news. And little announcement, kind of like a shadow announcement, but me and this small team have been working on a mobile game to fund a real game, and it's pretty fun, but it is very early in development, so do keep that in mind. There's a link to the beta of it in my Discord if you want to download it, and while it's in beta, it's only on Android. However, the full game will come to iOS and Android. And let me know your thoughts. Everything is subject to change, and the whole reason we're doing these tests is to get feedback on things to change and refine it to make it a more fun game overall. And with that, I should have another video out. I know it's been a little bit since the last one, but I've already started scripting the next one, so the process should move a little quicker. And that's all. Remember to like, and bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, and lots of love. Peace. I almost forgot that. Jeez. I'm going in for the kill.